Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to Dark Souls 2 Let's Talk Lore. This is, I believe, episode 14, and we are going to head towards the King's Passage. In the last episode, you'll recall that we killed some enemies in front of the golems in the room right at the top of this ladder, right there, which lowered the elevator. And we are now going to ascend to the highest point in Drangleic Castle. To see what's going on. And just to touch on briefly what I said a couple episodes about Mitha, the Baneful Queen, and about the treatment of female characters in Dark Souls 2. This is something I was a little bit disappointed to see. Granted, it's weird. It's in a Dark Souls style of just what the fuck is going on here. But just the tired trope of the damsel in distress, princess in a castle kind of thing. I think Dark Souls is better than that, although this is quite the room. This cage is attached in many places to the actual structure of the room. So this tower was built, seemingly, for the purpose of holding that woman who appears to be a Milfinito, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we descend into the Shrine of Amana. Captured seemingly by either Vendrick or Aldia, or the two of them in conjunction with each other. I presume Vendrick, seeing as, or even Nishandra, in fact. In fact, it might make most sense for the Milfinito to have been captured by Nishandra. For reasons that we'll talk about a little bit more as we progress through the Shrine of Amana. But for right now, we're going to take the long elevator ride down so that we can open the door leading to the King's Passage, the key for which we just picked up, which reads King Vendrick, key to the King's Passage inside Drangleic Castle. King Vendrick tried all manner of things to purge the curse that threatened his kingdom, but when every last attempt failed, the king fled through the King's Passage. So this is the path that Vendrick took, presumably from the throne room or some other area into the castle. Vendrick headed this way, down through the Shrine of Mana, and into the Undead Crypt. And we can see here a bunch of very interesting imagery that ties into a theory I read on the Dark Souls 2 subreddit quite some time ago, about the identity of the Looking Glass Knight. And we can see here this statue seeming very much to resemble that of the Cyan Knights, whose armor, and this is why I was hoping to pick up some of their gear prior to this area, is that their armor indicates that they're named Cyan Knights after one of King Vendrick's most loyal and dedicated knights. And the reason that becomes significant is in trying to figure out who exactly the Looking Glass Knight is. And this theory states, for reasons that get into Titan Knight Slab. For reasons that we'll get into after we've acquired the Looking Glass Knight's soul, that ouch, these guys hit hard. that the Looking Glass Knight very much stands out. Doesn't really seem to be part of any sort of royal army or garrison or anything of the sort. His sole purpose is to keep people from following the king from the castle down to... Jesus Christ. We need some more poise. Definitely need some more poise. Whew. I should go a little bit further back before using life gems. Oh, what now, buddy? Your friends are running. Ouch. But yes, it's sounding very half-baked right now because I don't have the theory itself in front of me, nor do I have any of the item descriptions upon which the theory is based. So I will touch on that once the occasion strikes and we actually do have everything we need in order to kind of fully explore that theory. My favorite enemies to fight in the game, presumably because they're the enemies I'm best at parrying. Solar Crown Knight, some Twinkling Titanite. And even though we've missed Benhart's summon sign once already, because I forgot to talk to him after unpetrifying Rosabeth, we are in fact going to summon him. And I have a plan that will allow us to complete his questline so that we can read the item descriptions for his gear. But until then, and I assume I'm going to have to edit the volume very much for this boss fight because the volume levels are out of control with the lightning. But here we go. So notice that the Looking Glass Knight is wearing a crown of thorns, indicating that he is atoning for a sin of some sort, or for a failing, or that it's a mark of shame. And this theory by a Redditor named Ninth Belief, I'm not sure if I've mentioned that before, if not I apologize, hypothesized that Cyan, the knight after whom the Cyan Knights and their armor and all that are named, was one of Vendrick's top knights who, in some way, shape, or form, brought shame upon himself and the kingdom, failed in some catastrophic way, to the point of death, but also providing an opportunity for Aldia to carry out experiments on him and turn him into the strange creature we have before us. And whereas the Rune Sentinels, which, as we read, are just empty suits of armor, they don't really have... They appear human, just as the Looking Glass Knight does. But as you just saw, the Looking Glass Knight has like a death cry, and drops his sword and his shield in a way that would indicate that, yeah, there is, in some way, shape, or form, a human under there. And the hypothesis, the details of the transformation, the experiments, as laid out by Ninth Belief, basically says that the Primal Knights, the Mastodons, if I recall correctly, are somewhat of a halfway point in between the Cyan Knights, and you can really see that in the similarity between the Cyan Knight set and the Mastodon set, and the Looking Glass Knight. So we got a Soul Bolt, Spell Quartz Ring +2, and some Bonfire settings. So we're going to check out the Soul Bolt and another couple of spells we picked up. One of the great sorceries devised by Strayed, the great mage of ancient Olafis, fires a blinding, piercing bolt of light. Strayed started with an unwieldy spell that backfired on its caster, and in time perfected it. Reminding me again that I have yet to actually unpetrify Strayed. Yeah. Imbues offhand shield with magic. Reinforced shield to absorb additional damage. Certain members of the Melfian Magic Academy scoff at these types of magic. The purists, in particular, are disdainful of anything vaguely linked to sword fighting. Funny that it mentions that for the Strong Magic Shield, but says nothing of the sort for the Soul Greatsword, other than use of this sorcery is not too dissimilar to swordplay. So presumably the Melfian Magic Academy would scoff at the Soul Greatsword as well. Nothing really all that interesting from the rest of the items. What is interesting, however, is the Shrine of Amana, but we do also have the Looking Glass Knight soul that we can look at. Soul of the Looking Glass Knight, who challenges visitors to the Lordless Castle. Long ago, the King's Passage was a route taken by the bravest warriors to prove themselves, but now it only prevents one from pursuing the runaway king. So that doesn't tell us as much as his boss soul item and his armor will, but we will get to that soon. So keep that in mind. The Looking Glass Knight, potentially the product of Aldean experiments, and also potentially the Scion, after whom the Scion Knights are named. Okay. Again, very, very interesting lore area, but just god-awful gameplay-wise. Even after the patch somewhat early in the game's life to reduce the tracking or the homing capabilities of the Amana priestesses' spells. So, to that end, again, I apologize that this run isn't as in-depth as I would like it to be, but we are going to be skipping a fair bit of the Shrine of Amana and a couple of other areas as well. So you notice that as soon as we approached the hut, the singing stopped, and then all those lizard men who were previously benign and non-hostile towards us all of a sudden started chasing us. And we're about to find out why that is.
We knew you were coming. And stop singing. We are Milfinito. We are here to sing to those bound by death and dark. We will sing here forever, as we always have, from long, long ago. We know nothing of the world outside. And why should we? For we will never leave. Do you seek King Vendrick? But what is a king, after all? We know nothing of the world outside, for we will never leave here. When we sing, the little ones dance. The little ones grant comfort to those who bear death and dark. This is what we were taught.
The little ones she's talking about, of course, are bright bugs, which you can see swarming each of them, each of the lizard men, whenever the singing is happening.
Is there anything wrong? Perhaps this will help. This is all that we can do. When we sing, the little ones dance. The little one, this is what...
Okay, so she's starting to repeat herself now. So yeah, so that might explain why it is that Nishandra, perhaps, kidnapped one of the Milfinitos, so as to secure her passage through the Shrine of Amana and towards the Undead Crypt, perhaps to get something from Vendrick that she believes she needs to access the Throne of Want. So I was just waiting to see whether the singing would continue there, because now you can very clearly see the bright bugs surrounding each of the lizard men and keeping them from attacking us. So from Nishandra's perspective, it would make a lot of strategic sense to apprehend a Milfinito and force her to sing to calm the beast that impeded her passage between the castle and the Undead Crypt. As you can see, I've switched over to the Hunter's Blackbow. Have the dexterity, so no reason not to. Lots of half-decent loot here. It looks like these lizard men are still still subdued, so we're going to continue on. These lizard men, I believe, will remain subdued if you just walk by them. But there are bonfire ascetics in this chest, and I will never say no to bonfire ascetics. As you might be able to tell from my voice, this video is being recorded directly after the last one, which was episode 13. And it is still Tuesday, March 10th. Very early or late in the morning, depending on how you look at it. I might do one more, because I'm really not very tired. It might not sound that way from my voice, because I'm sure you can probably tell at this point the difference in my commentary now versus, say, when I'm doing commentary in the middle of the day. But if I'm just going to be tossing and turning in bed anyway, I figure I might as well make the most of it. So once again, we're walking around with a lot of souls, so we're going to pop on our Ring of Life protection, because the Life Ring +1 isn't really doing all that much for us anyway in terms of additional health. And we are going to cheese the Shrine of Amana as much as possible. Apologize if cheese offends you, but this area was... I don't see any way you could really do it without cheese. Very difficult area for vegans, I must say. Or people with lactose intolerance. Bad joke. I don't believe she dropped anything. Neither did she. So we got a few lizardmen coming up here. We deal with them swiftly with jumping attacks. As soon as we can lock... Oh, unless I miss. As soon as you lock on, you're pretty safe generally to launch one of those. Then we're going to take out the ogre, which might need to walk. How's that for draw distance there? No ogre. Ogre. Hello. You don't want to come over here? So another one of, I believe, of Aldia's creations. Once again, somehow finding its way from Aldia's Keep, where presumably this creature was created, to somewhere far off. There's also another one, a few of them actually, in Things Betwixt. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. Any drops? No. We will be returning here later to retrieve Vendrick's equipment after we've defeated him. Oh, I hate you. But that's the cool thing about this shield. Spell parrying. But I use it so infrequently that I forget that I actually have a spell parry shield. Ouch. Sorry, Mr. Lizard Man. We're gonna see if we can poison a couple people from here. This one tends to fall out of draw distance, yeah. That is very annoying. And the annoyingness of this area is, of course, compounded by the fact that there is in this game no equivalent to the Rusted Iron Ring from Dark Souls 1. So you're constantly struggling to find solid ground on which to stand so that you can somehow run through areas of trouble when you find yourself in trouble. Almost don't even need to use the poison arrows to take them out, but it's the arrow I have in most abundance, so... I do not like this part at all. There is another Estus Flash Shard over there that we don't need because we're already at 12. There's an extra one in there, so in case you miss one, you can still get up to 12 in one new game cycle. But we can also acquire the Sunlight Blade and check out the lore from Strait. So we're going to leave that. Don't need any more than one cast of it if I do end up using it at all. And here we have Felicia the Brave. Felicia is wielding what appears to be a hide lance, as well as I believe that's called Sunlight Shield? Sun Shield? Something, Sunlight Great Shield, which is picked up from the Cathedral of Blue, right next to Blue Sentinel Targray. So she, of course, other than that, appears to just have the default knight set. Yep, just the default knight set, not the elite knight set or anything like that. She's another one of my favorite NPCs, but I think that's just because her summon sign here is such a godsend, as it were. Because this area sucks. Although, and I shouldn't say this because I'm probably going to jinx myself, but we're doing pretty good so far. I don't think we've used a single... No, we haven't used a single Estus Flash Shard. And... those poison arrows, though. My most recent experiences of the shrine, though, have not been so kind. for the reason that I've been experiencing it with the agape ring. And so therefore experiencing it in a state where you can't, if you really want to optimize your soul memory, you can't spend any money on, or any souls on consumables. So that rules out poison arrows, basically, entirely. Which is how I've always handled this area. So it's, of course, a significant change for me. But it's certainly nice to have the poison arrows again. That's for sure. Oh, sorry you couldn't heal them on time. We're going to talk a little bit about the Archdrake set. I believe that this is an Alluring Skull, which, I don't know about you, but when I go out of my way to grab an Alluring Skull, I kind of feel like an idiot sometimes. Yep. Because that's precisely what an item does in the distance. It allures you towards it. And the fact that it's an Alluring Skull is just such a brilliant troll, especially with the placement of that one. Given where we are and how terrible this area is. So this part I hate, because if you want to deal with these enemies without worrying about breaking all your equipment, you have to pop off all your armor and your rings. And it's really just a pain. I gotta remember the order everything was in, yeah. Oh, and put on my armor. And hopefully Felicia takes care of that. There you go. We're not going to deal with the invader in here. We're going to run straight to the fog gate. I'm actually going to send Felicia home. Hope that she can make for a worthy distraction. So as to allow us to make our way there. And she did. Thank you, Felicia. Because she is really not of very much help in the boss fight. No, don't open the door. Don't open the door. She's opening the door. Sorry, Felicia. Thank you for your help, though. This is another Milfinito. Who perhaps got fed up with the Demon of Song singing and decided to take matters into her own hands. And this is what became of her. No idea what happens there, but as I understand it, you save her. Again, damsel in distress, but I digress. So for a rather ugly looking boss, Demon of Song certainly has a beautiful voice. I'm only realizing just now that I left my window open. And I live somewhat near a main road in a very large city. So I hope that I will be able to edit out the noises I'm hearing as I'm doing this boss fight. Should have just went with the rapier from the start, I think. Because this is easy mode. So yeah, that's more or less the Shrine of Amana. Where is my exit? Right here. There is one more area that we can explore. I don't fully... I've only been here a couple of times. I almost walked off the edge there. Is there a chest down here? Why do I feel like I'm missing a chest somewhere here? In any case, let's see what's going on. So this door, is it locked? Yeah, I can't remember. It has been a very long time, and I know that there's some interesting lore-related stuff going on in there. Let's see if any of these messages are helpful. Try hollow. Yeah, I thought as much. Try hollow. Okay, let's do that. Actually, we're at just over 30 minutes, so I'm going to record one more episode for the day, for March 10th, and we will try hollow at the beginning of that episode. So, thank you very much for joining me, and in the next episode, we will be descending into the Undead Crypt, and also scoping out what awaits us behind this door, before we move on to that. So, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.